SK Hynix just crashed 15.4% in Seoul, its worst single day, and a full circuit breaker followed.
The KOSPI fell 8.95%, breaching the 7,000 level for the first time and triggering both a sidecar and a full trading halt. I'm Lena at LineVest Daily. US markets just closed, Seoul opens in about an hour, and tonight is heavy.
Tonight, the SK Hynix crash, the Bank of Korea's sharp rebuttal, TSMC's blowout June, and Korean shipbuilders on a record run. SK Hynix closed at 1,845,000 won, its lowest print since May 20th.
On Nasdaq, the freshly listed ADRs dropped 9.3% on only their second trading day, back near the $149 pricing level. The pain spread globally. Micron, SanDisk, and Western Digital all fell more than the broader tape. The irony is sharp. The Nasdaq listing meant as a triumph for SK Hynix backfired in Seoul the very next session. This was less a company story and more a positioning story, a leverage debut colliding with heavy KOSPI concentration. So is this the peak of the AI chip cycle? Not according to the Bank of Korea. In a report to the National Assembly today, BOK said the AI chip upcycle has, quote, a considerable period left to run. Their structural argument, high bandwidth memory supply is fundamentally constrained this cycle. HBM is custom built for each customer. You cannot simply spin up new fabs to meet the demand. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley all forecast the global semiconductor market stays robust from here. That's a united Wall Street thesis, and it directly contradicts the price action we just saw in Seoul. And TSMC just delivered a hard data point that backs BOK up. June revenue, 442.68 billion new Taiwan dollars, roughly $14.6 billion US dollars, up 67.9% year-on-year. That's a fresh monthly record, 6.2% above May's previous record. The next test, Samsung and SK Hynix report earnings on July 16. That guidance tells you if this cycle actually breaks. Away from the chip carnage, Korean shipbuilders are quietly on course for their best year ever. Q2 combined operating profit for the Big Three hit 2.33 trillion won, up 52.5% year-on-year. HD Korea Shipbuilding and Offshore Engineering leads with 1.42 trillion won, up 49%.
Samsung Heavy Industries is the fastest riser, up 90.5% year-on-year. Full year 2026 consensus sits at 9.04 trillion won, with visible upside to 10 trillion. The driver, high-value LNG carriers contracted during the 2022 to 2024 upcycle are hitting the P&L now. Those ships were signed when LNG rates were peaking. Revenue recognition arrives at the fattest margins in a decade. KakaoPay Securities won FSC approval for its investment dealing license. It can now directly underwrite, trade, and sell securities. With over 20 trillion won in deposits and 500,000 robo-accounts, this is a real threat to Korea's IPO underwriting hierarchy. Samsung's largest union surveyed members on the government-backed 40 trillion won Honam fab. 84% oppose it. The union cites forced transfers, worsening conditions, and a direct clash with the government's own 4.5-day workweek push. And Korea's Supreme Court is redrawing platform antitrust. Self-preferencing is no longer automatically illegal. The November 2025 ruling introduced a rationality test, a narrower standard than Europe's DMA regime. That reversal helped Kakao Mobility and revived Naver's appeal, but the biggest liability now sits on Coupang. Earnings tape, Mirae Asset Life's net profit doubled, but underwriting swung to a loss and K-ICS slid to 167.6%. Misto Holdings, FILA revenue dropped 20%, while U.S. golf brand Acushnet now carries 88.6% of group profit. Cosmax posted a record 682 billion won in revenue, but input costs squeezed operating margin to 7.8%. Cosmax's leverage is also widening as it plows capex into new capacity, a growth story with a margin caveat. The one thing to watch when Seoul opens: does foreign selling accelerate in SK Hynix and Samsung, or does BOK's message stabilize the tape? If BOK and Wall Street are right, today was noise, not the peak. Full analysis on every one of tonight's stories is at LineVestNews.com, and LineVest Daily lands in your inbox every morning before Seoul opens.